Do it. Do it. Come on, kill me. I'm here. Come on, do it now. Kill me.
Schwartzy, the podcast. It's a Schwartzy show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Schwartzy, the podcast. Today's episode is fucking Predator. We got to Predator. But what makes today really exciting is, hi, I'm your host, Malenko.
And I'm your co-host, Alex.
Nice to meet you.
And today, we have a guest. We have a...
How did you guess?
I want you to replace
I will.
the whole thing.
Yeah, for sure. I'll replace the whole thing. I'll just leave the t. We have a guest. Super fan of Schwartzy the podcast, has heard every episode.
Have you?
I've been sent and listened to all of them.
Amazing.
Our very good friend Lee Wiesblatt. Everyone, please give a round of applause. Woo!
Yes, it is me, the co-host.
His name is Lee, goddammit.
Sitting in the haunted chair.
I brought my own mic.
Oh yeah, the guest gets the chair.
The comfy chair, yeah. By default, the guest gets the comfy chair. And also, just I feel like this setup's pretty good. Do you like this? Like I can
actually
just
like
face
this.
you.
Yeah, I can face you and talk to you and have like my little area.
You guys both remind me of the scene in the movie Gummo where the guy's eating spaghetti in the bath.
In the bathtub, yeah.
Because you both have your little breakfast in bed bench on top of you.
What is this called?
I don't know.
I don't know what it's called, but it's so convenient. And I don't feel like my testicles are being burned.
You mean irradiated?
Yeah, irradiated. And like I just don't feel my sperm count going down by the second.
And it's gone down so much.
Oh, man.
I mean, so much.
It's less than a teaspoon now.
It's as satisfying to me as coming is.
I keep my junk in like a Faraday cage. It's just no signals in or out. Yeah, I don't do the laptop in the lap thing. I feel like that's scary.
Yeah, it's super scary.
Instead I do the thing where I lean onto a table that's too small and too far away, and I'm gonna have spinal problems. Right. But I'll be so potent.
Yeah. Oh, of course.
I mean, I feel like my thighs have a lot of like irradiatedness. I try and like move it away from the balls, but like still on the thighs.
But it's funny because like you not criticize. It's funny, but you would call me Floaty Alex because I would float on my bed.
Oh, I mean,
and like use my arm to.
Yeah. You do the thing where you have the laptop on the bed and you're like floating to the side. Yeah, That's what I call Floaty Alex.
Floaty Alex is like a cam girl.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Actually, yeah.
Exactly.
Floaty Alex is like a cam girl.
So when you close the door, Alex is just like asking strangers what he should do to himself.
Yeah, exactly. And all the strangers all say I have cool balding.
Okay, so today I was making the observation to Alex that we've both been balding for a while, and shaving our heads and leaving the beards in, doing the look, and Alex has recently been letting his hair grow in, and so I've made the observation that Alex is cool balding. Cool. Like he's got like that like middle tuft that kind of like spikes in the middle. It's like more sparse at the front and then like more sparse at the back. But if it gets longer, it's kind of like that, like, is he bald or like, is it just like,
no,
really?
I am. Yeah. But it's funny because has my brother talked to you about balding, Lee?
We talk about balding a lot. It seems like this is one of Malenko's pet topics.
Oh yeah. 100%.
I love talking about balding so much.
But the funny thing is my brother is like, so cool. We've made fun of people balding for a really long time,
and then we started balding.
No. But here's
the sad irony of life.
He don't know it, but he's balding.
Here's the theory I have, because I never really criticized or made fun of. It was always laughing in tandem with my brother about the observations he would make about people who are balding.
And for me, I think it was just like a fear thing.
Yeah,
it was like, I don't want to bald, and then I did, and it was like, oh, it's okay, it's fine.
But the amount of analysis pre any sort of like knowledge of internet or anything, like he would notice that there's different kinds of balding, and different kinds of balding look cool.
The receding
hairline, but leaving the middle widow's peak island happening.
Oh, no. First, it's a peninsula.
No. But what I'm saying is that's the start of a cool balding. That's one of the
that's
cool
like Jude
balding.
Law, but he like stopped it like in its tracks
forever
so
now,
like
seemingly.
you know, like
I saw Captain Marvel. That dude's hair is so combed over from the back.
Oh, is it? Okay. Well, anyway,
that's the style in the Kree culture.
Cool balding.
That's one of the best things you can do to like normalize like being bald in a society that doesn't have a lot of bald people. Just like, yeah, he's an alien.
Yeah.
That's what aliens look like.
Yeah.
Because we created them, we can do whatever we want with them.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true.
People hate bald people, dude.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, like even our dad the other day was like, I don't know, he used to be good looking, then he went bald, and I was like, whoa, both your sons are bald.
You're bald!
Rude. That's some like baldness exceptionalism.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about baldness and beards and stuff, I wanted to note, because this is a very masculine movie. It's very mask, right?
Yeah.
And all three of us are dudes.
Yeah.
With beards.
Yeah.
And I'm the twink of the group.
No, wouldn't you be the cub to our bears?
Yes, I am the cub, but relatively speaking, I'm the twink. But I also have like gorgeous, luxurious hair with no signs of slowing.
Yeah, and you have like a wonderful beard.
Thank you.
You have like one of the best beards, I would say.
Oh yeah.
I would say that if we're all in the praise circle right now, that I would say Malenko is very good at beard length, and Alex is very good at beard width.
Ooh,
So
And you guys both cover those bases.
Both of them.
interesting. Yeah. Okay, let's fucking hop right into it. Predator, we got there, and you know, we felt like an episode of this magnitude needed another friend perspective, which is why, you know, we decided to have a guest, and I think it's a thing that will happen again. But guys, the old school 20th Century Fox logo,
It's very good.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it so much.
I watched the like original first edition Blu-ray where it came out and they didn't like smooth anything.
Oh yeah, I watched that one too.
Okay, so because you just watched the Blu-ray, right?
Because yeah, you should explain that there's a version.
So there's several versions of the Blu-ray that came out, and after the first one that came out, I think in like 2008. This is going to be my how did you guess?
How did you guess?
Sure.
But
This is Alex's format corner.
So what ends up happening is the next edition that comes out, like they took all of the grain out of the film.
I was going to talk about the grain in this movie. This is a grainy ass film.
Yeah,
It's very grainy.
it's super grainy.
And I think that this smoothing thing is like an epidemic, and you know, the frame rate wonkery that they do, I don't care for that either.
Yeah.
I watched the Deluxe Hunter edition
Oh, is that the 3D?
Blu-ray. Yeah. No, it's not 3D. It's just like a Blu-ray release for fans with like a lot of featurettes and stuff.
For sure.
Guys, I love the opening. I always forget how much of that spaceship you see. Like you see, it's kind of wacky looking. Like it's a little bit like bubbly kind of, or like has like rounded edges that are weird looking.
Like Space Jam almost, like cartoonishly.
They look to me like if there was a slide whistle alien race in Star Trek, they would have this kind of ship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a little bit goofy.
Yeah.
But everything about the Predator race is goofy.
Super.
They are a silly premise, but I like it. And also it jettisons a little pod. And what we see is we see a little Predator pod.
Yes. I was going to mention that it's like it's fascinating that like in other iterations it's always seemingly like a spaceship comes down. In several of the other ones, they're coming to the planet as opposed to like dropping somebody off and flying away.
Yeah.
That's the implication here. It's like, no, we'll figure it out when you like call us back. You got to fuck shit up and then come back.
It's like your parents and you're dropping your kids off at the arcade. It's like, have a nice day.
Do you know, actually, you know what like it's like a mama bird pushing its baby bird into the wild, right? And like teaching it how to fly.
I mean, yeah, the premise is that this can be recut from Predator's point of view as a coming of age story.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
sure.
Like
That'd be sick.
Like a coming of age story that just goes horribly wrong.
I think that's an idea for a better Predator movie than anything post this movie.
Oh my God.
Like a perspective shift.
Agreed.
The thing I wanted to note about the intro scene, which is very like tasteful. It's not like a lot. It's just one shot.
Totally.
Same opening as the John Carpenter movie The Thing.
100%.
1982. Except it makes more sense in this movie, which is funny because that's like this movie that's revered as being this fairly highbrow sci-fi feature, and this is like dumb trash. But in that movie, you know, you're starting and they've already landed a long time ago, or whatever, and you know that's the first thing you see.
Yeah, exactly. The implication is that it would come. You'd think that the alien would come, and then you'd see the rest of everybody else come immediately after. But this is decades or hundreds of years after.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, the orchestral hit hits, and then Predator shows up on the screen.
Yeah.
So well done.
It's a great score, too.
Dun, 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 dun.
And the way that it stops to do the... Like it has these weird percussive elements, but it's really jerky. Like it sounds like it's being hand programmed on like an 808.
Totally.
Do you know who did the score?
Who did the score?
Alan Silvestri, who you might know from
I do.
a Zemeckis movie that you guys like. A
Back to the
Zemeckis
Future?
series that you like, yeah.
Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought so. I thought that's who that was. Guys, our boys arrive.
The boys.
Holy shit.
The boys are in town.
When like you just see all these faces and you're like, to me, this is an ensemble movie.
Oh, yeah.
This is fully an ensemble film. Every cast member is so crucial, I would say.
Yeah, and the cast is tiny. Like, there's a couple of one-line performances, but I think the entire cast is like 8 people.
Totally.
Which is bananas. Before we even see the boys, we see 2 people. We see the requisite movie general guy.
Yes.
Who gives the mission.
Yeah.
And, you know, spoilers, he's not, you know, being totally straightforward with them. But I feel like that should always be the case. Like, I watched Commando when you guys revisited Commando recently.
Right.
And I was like flummoxed that Kirby was just like a guy. Like they didn't pull the rug out from under you in any way. He was just, you know, like, oh, anything left for me here? You know, like, it's so hokey. And here you have this super old general.
Yeah, he is so old.
This guy was in his 70s.
In real life, he was just, oh my God, amazing.
That's amazing.
John McTiernan was like, we didn't know if it would work, so we just like put lots of tanner on him.
Not only on him.
Yeah, not only on him in this
Dan
movie.
Hedaya as well. Dudes, at 2:45, we first see Schwartzy.
What the fuck?
He stays in the helicopter as everyone else leaves.
Mm-hmm.
Such a wicked move.
Lighting a stogie.
Where's my stogie?
Yeah. There's so much stogie talk in this movie.
So much stogie.
Really, really great, like behind the scenes clips of Arnold between takes asking for his stogie.
My stogie!
Like, so they could just hand it back to him until it's time he has to let go of it again. It's really charming.
That's great. And another thing that I really liked about how they presented him in this scene as standing out from the rest of the cast is the red shirt. Mm-hmm. It's so bright red.
It's really iconic. I love everybody's outfit. So we see Blaine steps out first.
Yes.
Jessie the Body Ventura.
Jessie Ventura.
I have foreign policy experience. I live in Mexico.
Everyone's wearing great outfits.
Yeah.
Bill Duke as Mac is in a full suit.
You scared, motherfucker?
Bill Duke.
Bill Duke honestly seems like he stepped out of fucking Commando and into this movie.
But can I just say, did you notice how they shot Bill Duke in relation to Arnold Schwarzenegger in this movie to not make him look as tall or taller than Arnold Schwarzenegger?
You know what? Yeah, and Bill Duke is probably most likely he is taller.
He is because we see him in Commando.
In Commando, yeah. They all just have such respect for each other,
and they're such great characters.
They're such great, and they all sort of fit together. Do you want to?
No, don't worry about it. I'll clean it up after. What are we gonna do? Stop the podcast to clean some water up? It's fine.
Just get Cece to do it.
Very slowly. Cleaning up your spills is what a cat does.
Yes.
But yeah, these outfits are just so good, and I love it. Poncho is wearing like kind of like a very athletic looking suit that's like didn't age well. It's like sort of a track suit.
Poncho is my favorite character. He's the most vulnerable character.
He's so. I can make it.
I can make it. I can make it.
Oh my god! I want to talk about I Can Make It later, but
Yeah. Oh my god. And Hawkins with his pussy jokes.
Jeez, you got a big pussy.
Okay, and he steps off the helicopter. He's wearing like jeans and like a tucked in t-shirt with no sleeves.
Yeah.
And that's such a bold move when you're in this cast.
Yeah,
Honestly,
yes, that's true.
He was also an incredibly vulnerable person in the movie as well, and like he is sort of positioned as the wiener, but he's fucking ripped in this movie too.
I mean, they're all ripped. They all did their
fucking
homework
jacked.
for this movie.
for sure.
He's really like sinewy and like and they really only film him looking very like graceful.
Yeah.
Guys, the general informs Schwartzy that his special team of men has been brought there to infiltrate a country to retrieve a cabinet minister who's been captured by, we think, guerrilla forces on the wrong side of the border. I mean, really, it's just that slapped together.
Yeah,
it's like
they completely sidestep what country it is.
it's Valverde, apparently.
How did you guess?
Which is the fictional country from Commando,
Yeah.
the previous Schwartzy movie.
Yeah.
and Die Hard 2.
Yes.
But I don't think they actually say it in the film.
And in part 2, they say that it was Brazil or something. Or they say it was like, what did they say?
I don't remember. I'm not a big Predator 2 head.
But also, the funny thing is that Die Hard 2 was originally supposed to be Commando 2.
Yeah, and we talked about that last time.
Yeah.
Yes, that's amazing.
There's some really zany like cross contamination in these movies,
Yeah.
and it's kind of delightful.
Guys, Dylan chimes in.
Yeah. What's the line? It's fantastic.
He goes,
Yeah, some damn fool accused you of
That's
being
the
the
best.
best. Which is
Sorry, go
it's a
ahead.
mouthful. It's a real mouthful of a line.
and it's such an 80s line.
yeah, and this scene, like,
Can I just say though, just to harp on the line a bit, Carl Weathers fucking delivers the line. It is a mouthful, and it's such an 80s line, but he makes it his fucking line.
Oh, for
he's so
sure.
Carl Weathers, and he's just fucking Dylan in the movie. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
He's
Yeah.
so Dylan.
yeah, he's an incredibly charismatic member of the cast, and like, he is playing a really thankless role in the ensemble.
He's the Burke of this movie. He's
Yeah.
the Burke from Aliens.
Absolutely, yeah, he's total like company man, and the fact that he's still so likable and has this sort of like arc and all this stuff, and that he can deliver these like great lines,
Yeah.
is fantastic. So we have he gets out of the shadows.
And we have Dylan, you son of a bitch. And the slap at the perfect time.
Dylan, you son of a bitch.
Yeah. Oh. And just like the two sweaty biceps. Obviously, Schwartzy's bicep is so much. First of all, gigantic.
Dude, can I also just say that fucking Carl Weathers is jacked?
We keep watching Predator, and all you talk about is Weathers and Jessie the Body Ventura and how many pounds they can pack
It's
on.
important to pack en masse.
Holy shit. I always forget how jacked he is because in every movie after this, he's an old man. In every movie after, he's only like kind of a hunched over, sort of like Tata melted old man, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Like he was so incredibly like chiseled in this movie, and he only gets a couple of like gratuitous like what's the word I'm looking for, like beefcake shots.
Yeah.
So this handshake scene, there's so many, it's just wild to watch because of the amount of setups as they approach each other. It's like over the shoulder, like low angle coming towards you, panning, and it's like all of a sudden you're just like in this like still moment, this never ending struggle.
Yeah. And like Schwartzy pushing his arm down, and like Carl Weathers keeping up, but like clearly we're with the hero of the movie. And then he goes, I think a very charming and impressively delivered line where he's like, okay.
And
right?
CIA got you pushing too many
CIA
pencils.
got you pushing too many pencils.
And make it easy on yourself. And you know, there's just so much in this little exchange. You get so much characterization and so much character history.
And yeah, exactly. You just get people who are like have lived lives and haven't seen each other in so long. And it's like the sort of jabs at each other are like both I miss you and it sucks that you're this company man now. Like you're part of the CIA.
Totally. And we get, the little references. Why did you pass on Libya? Little things like that. And we see Schwartzy be a man of principle here and say,
we're like a rescue team.
Yeah, we're a rescue team. We're not murderers, And
he says assassins. That's the interesting thing.
Right.
Like I like that setup as almost like in a Punisher kind of way, where it's like, oh, he's principled, even though they're all part of the same terrible, like, sort of
yeah, like they overthrow governments just like in Commando.
Literally as the movie was progressing, I was like, oh man, like these people, guerrillas are probably
they're like mercenaries.
Yeah, they're mercenaries.
Yeah, the guerrillas. Well, I mean, we find out more about the guerrilla stuff later.
Yeah,
but Schwartzy doesn't want Dylan to come along on this mission because he's like, no, my men work alone, and we see Dylan pushing some shady shit here because he's being Burke. And he's pushing his, like a company agenda on this mission.
Well, he has to make sure that it goes the way he wants it to go, given what we find out later.
Guys, the pure magic of this movie, like you sort of start feeling an inkling of it with, the handshake, the arm wrestle, the conversation, all of the badassery. But what really drives the magic home and continues the high for the rest of it is Long Tall Sally in the helicopter. Holy fucking shit.
Yeah.
So amazing. So amazing on multiple levels. Some that I think are even like not intended. So Long Tall Sally to me is a like queer man's anthem about, having to hide your queerness. And, like you have Long Tall Sally, she give Uncle John everything that, he needs.
Yeah.
Yeah, baby. Ooh, yeah. that was all like code for like, we're fucking.
Uncle John with bald head Sally. He saw Mary coming and he saw Aunt Mary coming and he jumped back in the alley.
As though he was hiding.
It's like a closeted, this is what I get from this. So to me, it's kind of like queer anthemy. And then you have like all this machismo and like some homophobia that happens in this next scene.
Here's the interesting thing too, is that like even in the span of I don't even know how long we're in the movie. We're like 7 or 8 minutes into the movie at the time that like this happens, and like but we have so much homoeroticism already built in, and then you've got Little Richard, who's a gay guy.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, that's always been debatable, but he's definitely a queer icon.
Representative of a specific type of community. And like to have so much of that, and then the rest of the movie is just even more of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like they really set the table for like a lot of gay camp and a lot of like very earnest stakes. Like, Commando is a very easy reference point because it's recent and it's also a Arnold military guy movie, but it's like that movie is a movie that does not really sell like imminent danger or death. And this is a movie where like everything feels pretty legit right off the bat.
I think because the characters are both real in the sense that they're written like with a surprising amount of depth. We get all of the character introductions in the helicopter as the fucking as Long Tall Sally's playing, and like Jessie the Body Ventura.
No other object has been misidentified as a flying saucer more often than the planet Venus.
Offering people chewing tobacco, and then like when nobody wants it because it's gross, it's fucking gross.
He calls them slack-jawed faggots.
But here's the thing, here's the camaraderie element, and I've mentioned this to both of you before, but the lines are bunch of slack-jawed faggots around here. This stuff will make you a goddamn sexual tyrannosaurus.
This stuff will make you a goddamn sexual tyrannosaurus, just like me.
Like boosting up his like
own like
potency.
Yeah.
And then the Poncho responds, strap this on your sore ass, Blaine. And it's like, but you get both the like homophobic element of the military in general and the response to these guys know each other. He knows this guy doesn't want fucking chewing tobacco, and this guy's gonna respond. Poncho's gonna respond in kind with like the same level of like get the when he says get the shit out of my face, and he like laughs at him, and like he gets like, again, all of them are super vulnerable as well because they have moments of these like he's sort of embarrassed. What's his name? Jessie Ventura is sort of embarrassed, and he's just like, he responds like, you guys are gay, not me.
And also, like, if you weren't gay, why would you need to be a sexual tyrannosaurus on a chopper full of sweaty men?
Exactly.
Guys, we also get famous Hollywood writer and director Shane Black Hawkins saying his famous pussy joke. The girlfriend, he asks,
he wants a little pussy, and she says, I want me too. Mine's as big as a house, which is such a stupid joke.
So stupid, and it's like kind of sexist, but it's so ridiculous that I feel like it's not even like, it's more stupid than it is sexist.
Yeah, it's definitely like stupid misogyny.
Yes.
All of this stuff is there. It's all like built into things, but because it's so ludicrous that it doesn't have any teeth to it.
Yeah.
And I find that kind of charming.
Me too, and I find it in that same moment. What's his name? Billy doesn't get the joke. But he either doesn't get the joke or he doesn't laugh because it's a stupid fucking
funny
joke.
Maybe he's just like a woke dude, which we know that the actor who played Billy is not a woke dude. He's like super hardcore.
But also,
this is going to be a how did you guess?
How did you guess?
But also, what's his name? Shane Black just looks back down in his Sergeant Rock magazine, right? He just like is like also embarrassed in that moment.
Yeah.
Showing also this like vulnerability, you know?
And he also gets that really cool beat that I mentioned earlier where I think Poncho throws something at him and he just like catches it without looking.
That is awesome. Yeah. I love that.
There's so much economy, and Bill Duke shaving for the first time.
Bill Duke shaving really, really inspired me because I thought this was such an interesting character quirk.
Yeah, there's definitely like some seasoning of weirdness in just his reactions to things.
His performance in general was just kind of quiet but menacing, but also cool as a cucumber menacing, where it's like nothing phases him.
And we see that in the next scene because they go down on ropes into the jungle and they're right at work. Like they set up a perimeter, they find the crashed helicopter, and they use one of those hooky
grappling hook.
Yeah. To climb up.
Yeah. It's such a childhood thing and there's a lot of childhood things in this movie, and the grappling hook is definitely one of them. Just like climbing up into the tree where the helicopters crashed. There's an amazing level of economy in this movie, like where it goes from just baseline exposition stuff and character stuff to like we're there and we're in it.
Yeah, the pilots were shot in the head. Poncho just gives Dutch a breakdown of what's happened. And Billy says that he's noticed there were American issued boots in the tracks.
Mm-hmm. And that the helicopter was shot down by a heat-seeking missile.
Yes.
So already we're finding out the story they've been told is like not true.
Exactly.
There's a few moments that happen. The boots are one, the heat-seeking missiles another, and it's like it's all leading the audience down a direction that Dylan wants to lead you down anyway, which is great.
Guys, Billy's a tracking expert. Is he supposed to be like a native dude?
Yes.
Magical native. He's got like the medicine bag. He's totally that. And what's kind of funny is that this is sort of a slight how did you guess? Poncho, who is coded to be very like Latino, kind of in real life Richard Chaves isn't. Really? And he actually does have indigenous like background, which is like weird.
They could have made him Billy?
Kind of. But also he was like one of his big roles other than Predator was like I think he was on a long running TV show as a native character, which is pretty bananas.
Yeah.
So yeah, you got Billy in there trying to make sense of things, and it's pretty amazing. He's showing a lot of capability right away, just in terms of how much he can tell them about the situation.
And I love the tension that is built between Dutch and Dylan here, because you get the sense that everything's not going as Schwartzy thought it was going to. And
There are odd things happen, missteps that are like, this doesn't seem like you, nor does it seem like what you've explained.
And Dylan kind of has these moments of pathetically trying to explain. Dutch says that they have sophisticated weapons for guerrilla fighters. And Dylan says, well, they're getting better at all times or something like that. It's a throwaway line.
He brushes it off like they must be getting better tech or whatever.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But I also really love when fucking Poncho comes up to Schwartzy and he goes, you remember Afghanistan? And he goes, I'm trying to forget. I love it.
Love it. Installing dummy governments all over the world.
It's so good.
It's fantastic.
Guys, this scene has a scene that I love so much, and as a kid always wanted to do the chopping the like vine and then drinking water from it.
Suckling the also like a reference to sucking on dicks. Like,
is it?
I don't know, but
Maybe.
but like the movie, I'm just gonna interpret the whole thing as homoerotic.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was the next thing in my notes as well, was the vine, because it's very good.
It's so awesome.
The fact that he has to kind of prime it a little bit before it comes out.
As you would with a penis.
You have to prime it. No, but like you mentioned Hawkins grabbing the thing without looking. This is also like a character exploration of him being able to be hyper capable of what he can do. He's been hired to do a job and he's been doing it for years. And again, it's like a visual thing.
Yep. And the way that they take turns kind of sounding off in the plot of like, this is my field of expertise. This is my area of capability. You see everyone's talents, but they also have their own little character quirks, their costuming, and their weapons. And like, there's so many different ways of identifying them that it's impossible not to think of this as like an ensemble movie, because they put so much work into making everybody immediately identifiable.
100%. We find out from Mac that these guys were Green Berets.
I ate Green Berets for breakfast.
Because he's thrown dog tags at Schwartzy. And Schwartzy knew them from Fort Bragg.
Finds the dog tags of Jim Hopper.
Exactly.
Who later became the name of David Harbour's character in Stranger Things.
Yeah.
That's a really good little tidbit.
Yeah.
How did you guess?
So yeah, we see these like horrible bodies and
they're skinned. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, that was so disturbing. But it looked so much like fucking puppets, dude.
Really? I thought it looked pretty good.
Watching it in the HD, they look like dummies to me. I don't know.
Right, dummies, because puppets move.
Hey, dummy.
Puppets move. Yeah. But I just love the puppet.
Those bodies be dead.
I don't know. They're jelly bodies.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what is it. I don't know what a skinned body looks like. So like to me, it was just like Leela. I watched this with Leela, and this was the first time she ever watched it, and she like screamed, and it was great. It was great because she was talking through the entire movie, and like I don't care because I've seen the movie a billion times, but like watching it through her eyes, I was having so much fucking fun, dude. Like it was like, oh man, this is what I was like when I was a kid.
This movie is so much fun. I love how much these skinned bodies motivate Schwartzy's team out of anger to save these hostages.
Yeah.
Because they get really fired up and they're like, let's go kill these guerrilla guys. We need to pay back. Well, our team members have been murdered, and murdered in a most gruesome way. So
it's almost like an honor thing.
Yeah, it's like a code among warriors sort of thing. And so they decide to kind of surround the perimeter of this camp that's set up with these guerrilla fighters.
Can I just point something out? Because this is the first time we see Predator POV. Right after we see like, what's it called? Billy cut the branch and stuff like that. It's the first time we see that something is tracking them. Yes.
I remembered that the Predator vision first kicking in after the attack, but I guess this is something that just slipped my mind. It's a really inventive way of taking you outside of the movie you think you're in and putting you kind of prematurely in the movie you're going to be in.
I like that. I like that design of this movie doesn't do what all the other movies have done, which is put Predator as the main villain of the movie. The first bit of this movie, the entire first act is basically just men going to do a job movie. Mm-hmm. And then it becomes a different movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Guys, Schwartzy's pissed. He separates them all into teams.
which is so cool. And he does the sort of crawl down the hillside to get the lookout before kind of waving everybody in. It's awesome.
Loved it so much. There's a great little scene in here where Dylan fucks up
I wrote
and
this down too.
baits their scene, and Mac is fucking pissed. He's like, if you do that again, what does he say?
He goes, "You ghosting us, motherfucker." And he goes, yeah, it's such a well delivered, because it's like, whoa, dude, if Bill Duke said, "You ghosting us, motherfucker," and then goes, "I'll bleed you and leave you here to die," I would be so terrified if somebody like that did that to me. He's so awesome.
He's incredibly scary. En route to this first lookout, we neglected to mention also that we saw in the fired up thirst for revenge, we first see Old Painless. The ridiculous minigun that Blaine carries.
Yeah.
They whip it out of its like special case, and it's like just like a 10-year-old boy's wet dream. And it's like, this is amazing. I don't even know what this is yet, but it's cool.
It is. It's so cool. And the funny thing is that a minigun is really fucking heavy.
Really heavy.
The most impractical thing to
impractical
carry around, but like so awesome that you like these hyper capable people are just like, no, I'm gonna pick not just the most impractical gun, but the coolest one, and it's so effective.
Can I flip you guys a how did you guess?
Yes, please do.
How did you guess?
There's an actor in this small scene who is a frequent character actor in Schwartzy movies. He was a fellow bodybuilder named Sven Ole Thompson.
I got to score some steroids.
Mm-hmm. He's a Danish guy, I think, or a Swedish guy. Mm-hmm. And he's got a very signature beard that's like kind of like salt and pepper grayish. And he's a very like attractive guy. Mm-hmm. And I love spotting him in Schwartzy movies.
Yeah, it's pretty delightful. I know just the guy you're talking about. He's also in the movie Mallrats.
Yes.
That's the secret.
Yes.
Which is great.
Love that.
But yeah, I really love spotting like these like familiar stunt people and stuff like that. And you know, you get so many good exploding people jumping off of things.
Oh my God. It's so good. They just start throwing bombs, and Schwartzy picks up this truck as an infiltration system. He picks up the back of this truck that's really like functioning as I think
a generator.
Yeah, a power generator.
It seemed like it was pulling water out of something though.
So it's probably generating power.
Yeah, I guess so.
He throws a bomb onto the back of that truck and slams it into like the main center of the camp where everyone's congregated, and they just start killing everyone.
Also, I haven't seen this movie in a while, but like for a group of really elite people, like, whoa, dude, like you're fully like probably murdering the hostages unless they're so elite that they're just like, they know who it is, but like, damn, dude, like they're just like fully like gunning people down, no bullets stopping, just like bombs thrown.
Guys, in the 80s, people used to do ridiculous body movements when they were getting shot, which is probably like really accurate as to how it would happen, but I'm so glad that you actually mimed it, even though no one can see you do it.
I did it for you guys.
Alex did a great pantomime of kind of shimmying through bullets.
Well, now it just seems like everybody dies cool.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to die cool and get their hero
but nobody
moment.
died cool in the 80s.
But in the 80s,
oh my God.
Especially I'm thinking like another Schwartzy movie, Total Recall. First of all, so many squibs, dudes.
I miss squibs so much.
Squibs are a treasure, and it's really a shame that we have so few in action movies today.
Yeah.
They're really dangerous.
That's true. That is true.
Schwartzy throws a knife at a dude, and they do that thing where they just cut to him and the knife's already in him, and he goes, "Stick around."
Stick around.
I love it. I think it's amazing.
It's another thing that I think is really an asset of this movie is that it does all of the things in the Schwartzy playbook, but it's also a good movie.
Yes.
It doesn't feel like we must put away childish things. We're going to give him like a direct-to-camera one-liner.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
And the face the guy is making as he's dying is so... I'm so glad you pantomimed the face again.
I'm doing it to make you laugh.
Oh, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's so over the top, but it's so quick because you're looking at the knife and it's in the middle of the screen, so you're not really paying attention to the actor.
And guys, we get introduced to the one and only woman in the movie. I mean, one and only woman, but a really fucking sweet, cool character who I love. Anna tries to like hit Schwartzy from behind, and he senses her presence, and like, which is such a Schwartzy thing to be able to do, and then like whacks her and sees it's a woman, and he's like, oh no. It's like, I can't believe I did that.
Yeah, Anna is a great character, and we just see her in the middle of this guerrilla base, and she's all of a sudden this liability because we can't just kill her like the hundreds of people we've already killed today.
Totally.
So I thought that was really funny, and specifically the fact that they give it to Dylan to be the one to, you know, say we're going to take her with, because he's already sort of in a subject position in the group. He's like not pulling his weight. Everyone's suspicious of him. You know, she's your problem.
Well, that's the interesting thing, because the way I interpreted it was that Dylan needed her for some reason, because Dylan was the one pushing for her to be like tag along, and he was like, all right, if that's what you want, she's with you. But if both of you get lost, that's it. We're done, you know?
But yeah, she doesn't really provide any intelligence on the guerrillas just because everything takes such a swerve.
Yeah.
But it feels like Dylan has everything he needs from like the documents and
That's true.
the fact that they blew up all the munitions and everything.
Yeah, so it's revealed here that, you know, this was planned all along, and Dylan's really harsh in this scene. He tells Schwartzy he's like an expendable asset and that he used him to get the job done, and he lied to him about hostages.
Not just that, but Schwartzy isn't just pissed at Dylan. Obviously, the friendship is there, but he sent other people in first. He sent in Hopper, his other friend, and then used him as the same fucking thing.
But he came along himself too, which kind of makes it better. Because at least he's putting himself in danger, right? Or no?
Yeah, he's being a little bit less Burke than Burke.
He's kind of an ideologue, right? Is that what the sense is that we get from this character?
Well, yeah, I get the sense that, Arnold and his crew, Dutch and company, they are a bit, maybe idealistic isn't the right word, but they're naive in a certain way. They want to be a rescue team, and they expect that they'll be treated as such because they're so good at it, which is interesting because, you know, he's not the same kind of, you know, jingoistic sort of militaristic guy as he was in Commando. This is a guy who maybe is a bit more cynical about what they do, but he seems like kind of naive here in terms of the way that he trusts Dylan. He says, you know, my men are not expendable. You know, this doesn't sound like military talk.
No, because in Commando, he's very much a weapon. Like, you see that throughout the entire movie. He's just like, his abilities far exceed. Like, if the two Schwartzys fought, like, I feel like Commando would win.
Commando would win. He's superhuman.
He's just superhuman.
Yeah.
Whereas this is like it shows a kind of vulnerability that like you said, there's a naivete to him that is like ideal. And it might be because of the fact that he has been used in this way. And this is the first time he hasn't been, he's been used in a completely different way to fulfill some other goals. But also he has that line where he's like, they were skinned alive. And it's like, Schwartzy getting mad in movies is so cool.
It's so passionate.
Like, because he's a fucking good actor. Yeah,
he's a really good actor.
I'm going to stress
a really good actor
in every fucking episode.
You need to stress that in every episode because he's not respected for his acting abilities. Lee.
Yeah, I think that this is a great movie because it allows him to kind of show the full range, the full like gamut of what he can do, and put it all on screen because he gets to be explosively angry and frightened and vulnerable, but he also shows tremendous capability and seems really smart and like has tactically sound things to say and sounds really believable delivering them. And all the camaraderie with like all of his men, like he's just like a really believable character and not a superhuman cartoon avatar.
Yeah.
I don't want to omit saying the scene where Poncho is talking to Jessie Ventura's character, and Jessie Ventura's character has been shot, and he says, "You're hit, you're bleeding." And he says, I ain't got time to bleed.
And then Poncho shoots 2 bombs, and he's like, "You got time to duck?" You know what? The one-liners are great, and they're all given some like really, really good ones. What's his name? Jessie Ventura also finds the like we don't see him as just like a hick, which is kind of what he's presented as. Like he sees the first wiretap. And also that sets up like a whole bunch of other wire traps. That
so many wire traps.
So many wires. It's such an 80s kid thing to want to do.
Booby traps.
Booby traps.
There's so many booby traps in this movie. And yeah, seeing that first tripwire and the way that they cut hard into him, like detecting it was really intense.
Yeah, for sure. He like puts his hand out and then they like focus in on the wire. So good. I love it.
Another thing I wanted to add is that Dylan says, you know, we stopped a major invasion here. You should be happy, sort of thing. So he's kind of still trying to really justify it to Schwartzy. Like you can tell he still cares what he thinks.
Yeah, he's trying to justify it to Schwartzy, and I think to himself, because he does know on some level that this is an abuse of a past relationship.
This is funny because while they're sort of talking in the scene where they're still at the camp. This is the scene where the Predator starts recording them.
Yes.
That was really cool because it's all just like you hear the pew, like POV sound of him, and then you see the like little, what is that, waveform just on the side form. Again, all visual.
I love the waveform on the side, and I love their interpretation of the waveform. So cool.
I love the interpretation of the waveform and the like weird sounds that I guess the Predator makes, where it's just like
Can I also point out that Predator also thinks that Bill Duke has the best lines? Predator just like recorded only a sounding board of Bill Duke.
Yeah.
He's just like, anytime.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the extent to which the Predator was just a yak back.
Totally yak back.
Yeah, he fully, because Bill Duke, Mac does have like a cool voice. That's one thing that like I remember from childhood, it being like things like, because we used to quote over here
all the time.
So much.
Over here is very good.
And anytime.
And Diddy Quay.
Okay, so I wrote that down. When I was a kid, I thought one time I heard over here and it sounded like Diddy Quay for some reason.
Diddy Quay?
Over here.
Yeah. Okay. Hearing someone else say it though.
It's so great. It's so great. Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard anybody else say that but us.
For our entire lives, this existed only as a me and Alex thing.
Yeah.
And now
it was a
we've
meme
shared
we
it.
made.
With your listening populace, with your viewers.
Also,
to our one viewer.
listener. But like, what's his name? I think Poncho says it. He goes, if these hostages are Central American, I'm a goddamn Chinaman.
Oh my God.
Like,
yeah, I mean,
there's a lot of colorful language in this movie.
Yeah.
They took their liberties.
They did. We get a really good line from Billy in the following scene about how he wouldn't wish the valley on a broke dick dog.
I totally missed that.
I love that.
That's great.
And we get Billy laughing for the first time at fucking Hawkins' joke.
He laughs at the Jeezy got a big pussy echo joke.
But the best part about it is that he explains the joke and he's like, because of the echo. Oh. But then Billy takes a second and then starts laughing because it's a good joke. I like that joke.
And he ramps up to the laugh too.
Totally.
And of course, when you see the laugh, it's intercut with the Predator watching him laughing, and it's this distorted
recording him laughing,
this like warped, creepy tone, and the heat vision, the thermal vision of what Billy's face looks like laughing at this.
Dylan kind of pulls rank on Schwartzy in this scene because he's like, hey, we're taking Anna with us and there's nothing you can do about it. And Schwartzy kind of also big dogs him and he's like, yeah, but she's your baggage. If you fall behind, you're on your own. Which I thought was really fucking like a cool sort of like battle of egos. He's the field guy, but this guy's the suit.
Yeah, I think the actor's name is Elpidia Carillo, who plays Anna. She's fantastic.
She's so good.
So anyway, we've got the Predator inspecting them as they walk away, and now they're on a clock. Now they have to get back to the chopper and get out.
What ends up happening is as Anna is trying to escape, Hawkins tries to go get her. She grabs a stick and then hits Poncho and runs away, and Hawkins goes after her and also has like a weirdly like subtle character moment where he's almost begging her to not leave. He's like, please. And then you see like the outline of the invisible predator. He like stabs him with his 80s fist knives or whatever.
The Wolverine claws.
Yeah, the Wolverine claws.
Mm-hmm.
And then pulls him away.
And she gets covered in blood.
Yeah.
And she freaks out, understandably.
Obviously.
So Hawkins gets murked pretty hard. We see a big pile of organs that Poncho is asked. I think it's Poncho is asked if it's Hawkins.
He says, I can't tell. Which is like,
ooh.
Oh my God. And he goes, I can't tell. He's that like panicked, but still
and disgusted,
but still like
holding it together.
Yeah, holding it together. And Schwartzy when he sees the body, he makes such a good face of fear.
And so Poncho asks Ana in Spanish where Hawkins is. And she says in Spanish, the jungle came alive and took him.
Which is such a sick line.
And I love that Dylan goes...
He says, bullshit. That's not what she says. What she says doesn't make sense. But the greatest thing is like undercutting himself by saying she did say it in one breath, but it doesn't make sense, so she didn't say it.
Yeah, I love that.
I love it.
Yeah, that's some really great double think. And yeah, so even though Dutch is like processing this like really horrible sight, and there's this bickering happening between Poncho and Dylan and Ana, Dutch is just like, no, like the things that you're thinking like don't make sense. Like why didn't she run? You know, why didn't they take the radio or the weapon?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, and this is a big turning point, and it's entirely like pivots based on Dutch adapting to the situation, seeing what's going on with clear eyes, and like not kind of seeing what he wants to see in it.
Yeah.
It's pretty like amazing reversal after just previously we'd just seen like Billy looking really spooked and not knowing why.
And then we get to a point where Schwartzy is like, okay, like we have to find the body, and they set up a 50-meter perimeter, and then the fucking camera tracks all the way up, blood dripping down trees.
Amazing shot.
Such a good shot and such a good reveal, because you're like, oh fuck, I know what's gonna happen, and this is fucked. This sucks.
Jessie Ventura is standing around with the minigun, and he sees a little skunk.
Was it a skunk? I thought it was a gopher.
I thought it was a porcupine. Either way, whatever it was very cute. We all thought it was different, cute, small mammals.
You're right. I think it is a porcupine.
I think it is a porcupine too.
Prickly. I thought maybe it was like a dirty skunk.
Mm-hmm. The well-known subspecies, the dirty skunk.
And he gets shot with a laser. And the way they show his chest cavity like explode open, it looks so fucking real to me.
Mac's reaction to Blaine is so different in comparison to Hawkins. This is where it's like, whoa, dude, like
these guys are friends.
I felt so bad. Like I was like tearing up, like being like, whoa, dude, like this guy cares so much about this dude. And like you only got like split seconds of their relationship and you understood everything. And then like you understand fully what it is when he like freaks out and goes to fucking get the predator.
With the minigun, he tears down the entire forest, and they do this incredible thing where the men come and they're all such comrades that they know they just need to start shooting.
Yeah.
And they trust their friends so implicitly that it's just like beyond anything, beyond any kind of, it's just like, my friend is in trouble. I am going to help him.
Totally.
Yeah. Max says we shoot that way.
Yeah.
But he empties his own weapon first before picking up the old painless. And it's with his original service weapon that he draws first blood.
Yeah, yes. For sure.
And we see some radioactive like glow stick goo on a leaf.
Being the first of your group of friends to see something like that is more traumatizing.
It is.
Because you can get acclimated as another person to the idea that something fucked is going on, but to be the first person to see that some fuckery's going on, you're so scared.
After your best friend has died?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. And you have to interpret what you saw when it's based not on anything that you know or is familiar to you.
There's no reality. It messed with his reality.
Dudes, the detail that they drop here with Jessie Ventura's chest hole, they say that the wound is fused and cauterized, and they don't know what could have done it. They don't know what weapon could have done it. It shows their like expertise in the field of soldiering.
Because the first thing Schwartzy says is there's no powder burns. And then I think Dylan says the wound's been cauterized. It's really cool. And then and Mac just being like, what's his name? Schwartzy being like, he was a good soldier, and Mac being like, he was my friend.
Yeah,
and it's like, whoa, dude,
that
like,
line really hit me. I actually got super emotional,
dude. Like,
it really cuts through the science fiction movie you're suddenly being pulled into from the action movie, and it's just like, oh no, this is just like real. This is emotional realism.
Yeah, this is fucked. What's happening? Like.
They take Jessie Ventura's body and they set up a perimeter, and meanwhile Anna puts some of the green goo on her pants.
Yeah, little goo swipe, which is pretty cool. Yeah. I just wanted to say one more thing about the blasting cannons into the jungle scene, which is okay.
Just emptying bullets,
and reloading, and just going and going and going. They were shooting for 1 minute and 3 seconds.
I'm so glad you kept
track.
My
God, I'm really glad you actually tracked that. That's amazing.
Like that's when the last shot is fired, and yeah, it's just completely ballistic. And yeah, I couldn't love it more. While this is still an ensemble movie, spoiler alert, it kind of takes on a bit of a last man standing like slasher structure at this point. But while we're still in the gang period of time, we could talk about the multi-ethnic gang and how this is a real like collection of different types of people that aren't often like at the very top of the cast list for movies like this in this time period, and especially now, like things have really changed.
Yeah, and even if granted, like it is a mixed race of people within the context of the movie. Billy's not a native guy. Pancho's not really a Latino guy.
Right.
I don't think
so either. Yeah.
And Jessie Ventura is just a white dude.
Yeah.
And what's Shane Black's name again? Hawkins. Hawkins was, just a white nerd. And like
an Austrian guy.
An Austrian dude, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dutch. Oh, such a good name.
Such a good name.
Yeah. It's interesting that this movie can, in a certain light, look progressive when at the same time what we're seeing is like sort of a collection of stereotypes, right? But it's types, right? It's not just ethnic or racial stereotypes. It's like these are archetypes. Like this is the tracker. This is like the heavy weapons guy. I mean, like there's like shades of like A-Team and other stuff that's like just in action DNA here, and it's just really fun and cool.
Well, it's also like the specificity of their what you were saying, like the weapons guy, and like Hawkins. What I noticed watching in this iteration of me watching it was that Hawkins is the like communication guy. Like he's the one running that thing.
Yep.
But they all know how to use it, and they all know how to do those things. They just have the best people doing the best at their job.
Yeah.
That's what was cool. Anyway.
Back to our interracial friendship. Mac as mourning the body of our
Blaine, Jessie the Body Ventura, governor of Massachusetts.
We hear.
Wait, no, is it Massachusetts?
I think so. No, it wasn't. Was it? No.
How many governors in this movie?
2.
Actually, what's his name? The guy who played Billy ran for office in California as well,
or Ohio, something weird,
something outrageous where it's like, whoa, dude, like you. And
they're all right-wing politicians.
They're all right-wing, all of them.
I have to really check myself and take accountability for confusing Massachusetts and Minnesota. which is yes.
Did you Google?
No, that was just I needed some time to compute.
It was Minnesota.
I had brain lag. But yeah, just Jessie the Body Ventura is a really interesting libertarian voice for transparency and against conspiracy theories. He is a 911 truther. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff there. And he's just a very delightful public figure.
I buy all my cars at police auction.
And we see him off in this scene because Mac leaves his flask with his body. And Anna's pants are neon. And then we get a shot of Predator treating his wound. That was such a cool scene, the little med kit. And he kind of like haphazardly does it. You know, like he's kind of like annoyed that he has to do it almost, right? Mm-hmm. Is this the sense you guys got? The physicality of this guy was really, I thought he really acted this role.
Yeah. Kevin Peter Hall, fantastic.
Amazing body performance.
Yeah, absolutely. And to the earlier point about Bill Duke not being shot as an especially tall guy, a lot of that is that scene in Commando where they're in the hotel room together was like shot at really low angles for some reason. But I think it's also to like kind of protect the reveal of just how much Kevin Peter Hall towers over Schwartzy.
That's what I think it is too. I think that there was like a very necessary, because he's something like 7 foot tall. Like
7'2".
7'2".
It's bananas, yeah.
In real life, that looks. We were talking about this with Tata.
Hi, I'm here to tell you about my experience with the Tata.
There were two things that I thought were great, which is Schwartzy makes a dig at Dylan, saying, "We're assets, Dylan, expendable assets," and then Dylan goes, "It comes with a job." Right? Like still bickering, but they both have good points. Like to your point earlier of being naive, Dylan is a realist. Mm-hmm. Despite being like fucked in this situation, not knowing what to do, he's still right.
I totally agree with you. He's so practical.
He's so pragmatic. And then Mac says, "I capped off 200 rounds with a minigun. Nothing on earth could have lived." Billy says, "I'm scared," and Pancho responds, "You ain't afraid of no man," right? All like leading up to like, oh, it's a fucking alien. Of course, these guys would be able to kill many men, but a fucking alien.
Yeah, because they're the best.
They're the best, right? I love all that. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, by all means, that was worth saying because it's a great line and the way that they set up, you know, there's something in the jungle and it's not a man, you know, all of the stuff that they keep seeding, it really just builds a suspense in this amazing way. Where there's also the dramatic irony of we know what they don't know, which is that it's this like creature.
But the next scene, which is where you were getting onto, which is Mac talking to the moon dramatically, and like I'm just gonna read the whole thing. Can I just read the lines?
Please do.
He says, looking at the moon, "Here we are again, bro. Just you and me. Same kind of moon, same kind of jungle. Real number 10, remember? Whole platoon, 32 men, chopped into meat. We walked out, just you and me, nobody else. Right on top. Not a scratch. Not a fucking scratch. You know, whoever you got, they'll come back again. And when he does, I'm gonna cut your name right into him. I'm gonna cut your name right into him." Which is, first of all, epic, glorious, and also proves in an economy of words, like not just how much this person meant to him, but does heavy imply that they had more than just a relationship that was like a friendship. It was like far beyond that, you know?
Extremely intimate, extremely trusting, and like maybe even like a little bit codependent based on like how rattled he is. But yeah, there's just like so much like soul and poetry, and the performance is amazing. And he's like whispering some of it, and like he's doing so much with his face. And Joel Silver, producer of this movie. I always say Ron Silver, which is a very, very different vibe. But Joel Silver specifically wanted Bill Duke after working with him and Arnie in Commando. And great pull. The other actor who really should have just been like a superstar, should have, you know, been a marquee star in every movie. In this movie, Carl Weathers was another person that was handpicked and totally typecast between this and the Rocky movies.
Yeah.
And both actors with like tremendous magnetism and totally different kinds of performers.
Guys, a flare gets set off.
This is so good.
Bill Duke,
after setting a bunch of traps to have like on a campground for them to sleep.
Yeah.
And Bill Duke is taking first watch. A flare goes off.
And Bill Duke tackles this beast. And he's
with
avenging,
a fucking knife.
He's avenging his friend with a knife in this scene. Like, he is killing for Jessie Ventura in this scene.
Mm-hmm. And you get some wild, like, knife in the moonlight, like arcing blood. Like, it's super slasher.
With our favorite technique of editing, digital slow motion.
There's slow-mo. I really hate post-production slow-mo, and there's a lot of it in this movie, but in every instance, I love it.
Yeah, totally.
Oh my God,
totally.
me too.
And the squealing and screeching, like, it's a good setup because we know that it's not the Predator, obviously. It's a fucking boar.
And they realize it's a pig, and they make fun of him, but he kind of takes it in jest. It's really funny.
And Billy laughs too. He's like,
they quickly realize that no one's watching Anna, so they rush back to her, but she didn't try to escape because she's terrified. And meantime, they also notice that Jessie Ventura's body has been taken. So they wonder how the fuck his body was taken without any traps being set off around the perimeter. Of course, we know that Predator's using them trees.
Bastard trees.
Yeah, and John McTiernan is like such a huge European cinema guy. He's such a cinema of the image guy. He wants to communicate as much as he can with the camera and with the performers, and he does an amazing job. When in that same scene, you have this question of how they got Blaine's body out, and you have this sort of revelation that they're being hunted one by one.
I like this observation too because it really justifies a lot of the turns the movie takes later on.
And as Dutch says that, it like kind of focuses and like kind of like zooms into his face, and
giving it more importance.
And it's this incredibly like unnerving camera move that like really underscores that it's a pivot point in the movie.
Because Schwartzy grabs Anna by the arms and he's like, tell me, talk. Like he's like done with her bullshit, which I'm like, how, like, that's a pretty like bold thing to assume that someone's lying about not knowing like English, but he's right. And she responds to him in English, and she says that what killed Hawkins and Blaine is a chameleon. He uses the jungle to hide with his cloaking device. And fucking Dylan says, what, we being hunted by a fucking lizard?
It's so good. It's so evasive. It's so incredulous. Yeah, and I really, really love that. This whole scene with Anna is fantastic. And is this when we get her little monologue about the demon? This is incredibly written, incredibly performed. We get this incredible line. My pronunciation is terrible, but it's like El Cazador Trofeo de las Hombres. And it's like
the demon who makes trophies of man.
Which is so sick. And like, again, through circumventing like just general exposition, and just like having like legends take over of like giving the audience, because we don't see that the trophy is being taken yet.
Well, yeah, and then but she says the thing about trophies, and you're just like, whoa, this has happened before? That's amazing. Such a nice touch.
Yeah, and even setting it in this mode of like it always happens like when the summer's very hot, and it's very hot now, and it's like a scary campfire story and exposition, and it's like just so much dread packed into it.
Guys, Schwartzy cuts Anna loose, and he's like, whatever is attacking us, we have to take on right now.
We need all of us.
Yeah, and he says the best line, "Oh, there'll be no one left to go to the chopper." Get to the chopper! I love that part so much, because Dylan's like, yo, let's get out of here. It's 10 to 12 miles. We can make it. Dylan is really the last to let up, but he later saves the day so much.
Yeah.
I mean, not really, but he redeems himself so hard.
Yeah, in the opposite way of a Burke. Like, a Burke is a piece of shit.
Exactly.
To the point about Dylan being a realist, I think that makes it creates a really interesting tension, because he's a realist in the sense that he has become accustomed to operating in the world that he lives in, and it makes him uniquely disadvantaged for seeing how the rules don't apply, for how things have changed.
That's a the line that he says perfectly dovetails into this, which is, you really think this Boy Scout bullshit will help? And it's like, that's to exactly that point of like, well, you have to think outside the fucking box. These are the skills that we have and have acquired.
Because what they're doing is setting up booby traps, which is, I love that there are so many booby traps setting up movies.
You guys give up, or you're thirsty for more?
Oh, 100%. And not just that, but like when they're setting up these booby traps, he says that line, and then later on says something flippant about setting up the booby traps. And Schwartzy goes, instead of complaining, you can help. And then immediately it cuts to him shirtless, pulling down trees. I was like, this is amazing.
He's already redeeming himself here.
It's so incredibly good. And he's just glistening with sweat. And
all of them are glistening.
Yeah, and just pulling ropes and vines. And it's so good. Oh, before we move on, I wanted to say something real quick about Anna. That I wanted to mention when we were talking about the monologue, which is that John McTiernan has made a lot of really interesting choices in this movie, and one of them is the sudden language shift in the sense that, like, prior to that, we don't know that she speaks English. We don't know what she's saying unless we're, Spanish speakers in the audience. And apparently, like, his justification for this is he really liked watching foreign films his whole life, and he was keyed into the images and the performances and stuff. He wasn't paying attention to the words, so he would just watch foreign movies without subtitles.
Wow.
So
that's really cool.
So he was just like, oh, like, this is just like a cool thing that, like, you're having this dialogue that's not being, like, handed to you.
Not just that, but, like, there's no translation, there's no nothing.
Exactly,
it's all
no
like
subtitles.
hyper practical, practically done, where people are translating for this person. Even and people contradicting each other as to what is being said is really awesome. Also, just to point out that John McTiernan went to fucking prison for tax evasion.
Is that why he stops making movies at like 2003?
Yeah,
Oh, he had some really. I did a gloss on the Wikipedia, and he's done some weird stuff. Like, he was like wiretapping like the producers of Rollerball, like the remake. Which,
wow.
It's buck wild. But I don't want to speculate too much because I don't have faith in the penal system anyway. But I just wanted to say that, like, that choice really, like, I think works really well for the movie, but it can really be construed as, like, being a, like, sort of a sexist or racist trope in execution, in the sense that, like, this is one of our few characters in the movie, the only woman character in the movie, and, like, we are, like, stealing her voice in terms of, like, her ability to access us as viewers.
Totally.
And the reason I wanted to mention it is because McTiernan made a lot of choices, and there were a lot of people on the crew that made a lot of choices that went into this movie that, like, can be viewed as suspect or can be viewed as having, like, a net negative reaction. But they came from what seems like a really earnest place, and a place of, like, really just wanting to tell a very good story and trusting the people around him. So I wanted to hit that before we move on too far away from the monologue.
Yeah, for sure.
Because Anna's a great character, and
also she helps. She's helping the team set the booby traps up. Like, she's fully on board and doing everything with them. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, like, she feels, despite not having a lot of dialogue, she feels incredibly fleshed out. I don't know how much of that burden was her as an actor or how much was, like, specifically written, but it's interesting that I think all of us are on the same page when we really don't like a strong woman archetype to be, like, spoon-fed, but, like, a holistic approach to just a female character, as opposed to just, like, let's put in things that we want the audience to associate with strength, and we'll just give it to her to do it, as opposed to practically looking at what this person is capable of and how much she does help and how much she's a fully formed person with a past and, like, exists as a whole character, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I think that the the strong female character trope is really different from what most people want in a woman character and a woman performer. And what we really want is, you know, a character with complexity and vulnerability and, you know, different levels of acuity at different tasks that are appropriate. But yeah, to me, it's you know, I'd feel the same way about ludicrously overqualified male character, like
Exactly.
You know, have you guys heard the term like Mary Sue or Gary Stu, the male equivalent?
Yes.
And I occasionally do really love Gary Stu characters. I mean, there's no way of watching Commando and not thinking that John Matrix is like a ludicrous Gary Stu stereotype.
100%.
But yeah, to me, it's just kind of like when someone is doing the Poochie thing of like just trying so hard to make you imprint on a character.
Yeah, for sure.
It's immediately a turnoff. And yeah, they completely like dodge this issue completely with Anna.
And also like a reference we've made previous and that I'm always going to make because I love this movie and it should be seen. But Haywire is a good example of how like hyper capable like a female action lead can be without actually drifting into Mary Sue territory. Like she's fully fleshed out.
Haywire's amazing.
Such a good movie.
Yeah.
Guys, Schwartzy gets impatient waiting for Predator to come. So he steps out and almost trips his own booby trap. And suddenly Predator's behind him and he gets caught in a booby trap and he starts shooting wildly in a panic because he's caught, and he like falls down and trips a tree that smashes Poncho.
This is
so
brutal.
devastating.
This is like crushing is what I was going to say before realizing that it was a really bad pun. But but yeah, like I think I can endure so many gunshots and so much stabbing and things like that in movies that I've become so inured to them. But like watching like brutal blunt force trauma like that, seeing that log come at Poncho so hard, and he's like, you know, along with Hawkins, like one of the smaller dudes in the ensemble. Like
totally.
I felt that, and I was just like, oh, like imagine just like all your ribs being broken and how awful it would be.
Schwartzy runs out and goes, Mac!
I love that
so much because you could tell he loves him so much, but he's also so scared. He's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, he's like, what, like, is he there? Where are they? You know? But before Schwartzy goes to be in the trap, like next to the trap, Carl Weathers goes, what are you gonna try next? Cheese? And he does. He puts himself as bait in the movie, in the fucking thing. It's great. I love that.
Mac goes so nuts and just wants revenge for his friend. So he's like, I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you.
But not just that, dude. He starts singing fucking Long Tall Sally.
Long Tall Sally. She's Bill Sweet. She got everything that Uncle John needs.
Yeah. And it's like this amazing dramatic reading version of Long Tall Sally. It's like a beat poetry version of
oh my god,
where he's just like, I'm gonna have me some fun,
so good, so good,
so good.
Yeah, it is absolutely incredible.
And Dylan also like wants to get even here.
Okay, so we have that amazingly choreographed, like Dutch just like throws the gun and Dylan just catches it with his offhand effortlessly.
And he's breathing and you can see like his diaphragm moving and it's so sexual.
Oh, so sexual. And also you see how fucking cut fucking Dylan is. Like literally every ab is just like, whoa, dude, like you worked on those drawn individually. Like a cartoon looks like this.
You take this home, throw it in a pot, add some broth, a potato. Baby, you got a stew going.
Yeah. And yeah, he and Dutch are the only two dudes that are vest no shirt. At this moment.
Love vest no shirt.
That was also like a thing we used to do as kids.
Oh, totally, but didn't have the upper body strength to pull it off.
Oh man, we had like doughy bodies.
Yeah, but now you can do it.
I mean,
you can.
You still have a doughy body. No, I'm kidding.
You guys have to do it before the live action Aladdin comes out, and then people just think you look like Will Smith as the genie.
Dylan, as he's going, Schwartzy tells him, that's not your style. And he says, I picked up some bad habits from you. So get your men out of here. Oh, it's so good. And then Schwartzy decides to tell Poncho and Billy and Anna to get to the chopper, and they all start heading towards the chopper.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Poncho-
while Mac and Dylan are like trying to flush out the predator or get revenge or whatever, get redemption, whatever it is that they're doing. It's really great. I like that he splits the party. He makes this like command decision.
And Poncho, right before they leave, says, "I can make it," in the most like vulnerable,
desperate,
heart-wrenching,
sad,
amazing line.
I can make it. I can make it.
It's like burned into my mind in a way that like when we were kids, we used to quote it all the time, because it was like it did sort of imprint. It imprinted on us like this, like, I think vulnerability, like we understood what vulnerability was through that kind of character. But yeah, I can make it. I can make it.
I can make it. I can make it.
The saying it twice too.
Yeah.
Like people used to do outrageous things in the 80s with characters where it's like, yeah, this is what a real person would do.
And Anna and Schwartzy help Poncho up. I love how dedicated Schwartzy is to his family. It's really like chosen family territory. It's so nice.
This is an amazing scene. So we have Mac and Dylan, and Mac is like in like the root structure of a tree or something. He's in like a little hidey hole.
This is a really cool thing about Mac is that it's set up in a way that Mac's left already because he's gone nuts.
Yeah.
Dylan goes in to try and both help Mac and try and like help save him.
To buy time.
With his own sort of redemption arc. And then the movie does a really cool thing where Mac goes over here, which is something we heard the Predator record, and you're like, oh no. You hear it, and then you're like, oh no, is the Predator trying to trick Dylan? And then Mac comes behind Dylan and puts his hand over his mouth and pulls him down, and they both look and find the invisible shape that is the Predator. And Mac also goes, I see you.
Past them trees.
Yeah,
I love past them trees.
Past them trees. Such a good line. Such good lines. Such good performances.
And Dylan is ever the optimist and ever the sort of kind of, I don't know, not realist. He says, we can get this thing. I'm going to go from the back and lure
like
him
flush
in
it out. Yeah.
And flush it out. And he's so convinced that they can like fight this thing, but they can't.
Yeah. The roles have been completely reversed between him and Dutch. And now he is the one that is like hopelessly naive because he's still clinging to this antiquated view of like, I have capability. I know what I'm doing. I know the rules these kinds of engagements operate within. And the Predator's like completely like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like free riding on the rules. Like he is not complying to anything.
No.
So there's no reason to believe you'd be able to flush him out.
I am the captain now.
What did you guys make of the face that Mac makes when he sees that the ray is being shined on to his head to kill him?
I have no idea. There's so much going on in that expression.
I don't know. I mean, for me, like watching it different times, I interpreted it in different ways. Because sometimes you can sort of interpret it as like, maybe I'm just gonna get killed and accepting it.
Dude, our guy Bill Duke gets so smoked, and such a cool effect because I really feel the like brains splatter out. It was really gruesome.
It's creature feature.
Yeah. It's what the shot is basically.
It's like there's spaghetti. Did you notice that?
Yeah, the shot is basically the back. We see the back of Bill Duke's head, and then there's just a laser blast through it, and then just blood covers the camera, and it's amazing.
Schwartzy, Anna, and Poncho are running through the jungle, and they pick up. Schwartzy tells Anna to leave a gun because he realizes that he didn't hurt her because she wasn't armed. Really so Schwartzy's realized that, you know, his kind of warrior instinct understands this being as a hunter. And so he's like, no, don't do that. If you're not a threat, it won't hurt you.
And he says a great line. He goes, no sport. There's no sport in that.
I love that.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Super awesome.
So it's intercutting at this point between the four of them escaping and well, it was Mac and Dylan. Now it's just Dylan. Yeah.
And Dylan has probably one of the best deaths like in cinematic history.
yeah.
It's incredible.
He gets his arm lasered off. It falls down.
Still shooting.
The meat of the arm, it's his sweaty bicep. Whoever made that prop is
Brilliant.
It should win all the awards.
Because it happens in profile. So you see the beam passing through him. And then you see the arm dropping and it's still shooting.
And it's a full arm.
Yeah.
And then you next see the like prosthetic or whatever it is. And it's just an arm really brutally like severed above the elbow.
Yeah.
And it looks like that.
And plops down, yeah.
Yeah. And but still ever the fucking badass. Still shooting with his
the other arm. I loved it so much.
It was so awesome. And him like crying and like screaming it's just like the movie entirely is like comprised of performances that should not be in an action movie like this. It's like the level that everyone is at is firing on all cylinders. To like make a reference to another John McTiernan movie, like Die Hard also shouldn't have those kinds of performances either.
Guys, let's talk about how our guy, Carl Weathers, gets stuck with the Wolverine claws and lifted up.
He gets hoisted.
So iconic.
And there's some post-production slow-mo.
Yeah. More post-production slow-mo.
More post-production slow-mo. And also like distorted like screaming where it's like,
I wrote that down too. His voice doesn't sound
well, he doesn't sound like that, but it's like as kids we were like, oh man, that's so fucking cool.
Guys, what do you make of Billy remaining behind, being magical, having a crazed look in his eyes, taking off his vest, and cutting himself with a machete? Like, is this more like kind of like
magical native?
Yeah. Is that what's going on here in this scene?
I definitely think so. I think that this movie contains a lot of different types of masculinity in it, and some of them are coming from a more naive sort of cultural tourist kind of place.
For sure.
And this is definitely one of them. And like, you know, this is something that would be totally appropriate to see like in a Western.
Right.
I think it's just like a tremendous performance, and it's consistent with what we've seen from the character so far.
I think so too.
I agree completely.
But yeah, I mean the movie and just sort of the like ultra violent capability of the Predator kind of like curb stomps this gesture, but it's like a powerful gesture, you know, like, and it presages what we see later from Dutch in like, you know, being less equipped, being less, you know, ornamented in like, you know, the robes and, you know, things of society.
For sure. Because at the end, this movie is really Ahab and the whale.
Yeah.
Like it's very, right?
Yeah.
Like, is it kind of like just doing man and beast sort of story, right?
Yeah, man versus nature, those kinds of things. I think that there's also a secondary role of sacrifice, because it's not like Mac and Dylan are they're not sacrificing themselves. Mac is getting revenge and Dylan is redeeming himself, but Billy is like buying time.
Yeah.
That's what I took from this.
So he
scene,
sacrificed
right?
himself.
Yeah, like it's like cutting himself is drawing blood, like a shark, like Chum.
I
right?
get it completely, but isn't it racialized?
Yeah, I do think that there's an element of that where there is a subordination that's happening, and it's also one that ties in with cultural beliefs of like the noble savage and things like that.
Right.
And I think that is something that they are unconsciously tapping into, but it's definitely a thing. Like that, you know, that he should buy time for his, you know, superior and, you know, these other wounded people.
And he dies off screen just to a scream. And as they're startled by his scream, immediately Pancho gets unceremoniously zapped in the head, which I was like, but here's the don't do Pancho so dirty.
No. But this is cool though. This is cool because when he screams, Schwartzy's holding his gun and spins Pancho around holding his gun.
Yeah,
that was sick. I thought that was cool.
I love that.
That was awesome.
Yeah, this is when it goes from being an ensemble movie to very, very rapidly being a everybody dead movie.
Because Schwartzy says to Anna, who's the last person standing, run, go,
get to the chopper.
Oh.
It's fantastic.
I love it so much. And I love the run, go, get to the chopper because it's beat for beat for beat. And everyone always just says the get to the chopper line, but it's a whole song.
Totally.
Absolutely.
Totally. I fucking hate when people either misquote something
and they just go, get to the chopper.
Yeah, or they don't do the whole thing and it's like, but it's so much cooler.
It is so much cooler.
It is so much cooler. There's something else in this scene that is fantastic that we just glossed, which is that Anna picks up a gun to fire the predator and Arnold kicks it out of her hand seamlessly in like one motion.
And then continues to shoot at her so that he could like draw it away from her. And like,
I wanted to talk to you about this because I thought it was like, it's a really cool scene, obviously. It looks great. But, you know, and I believe that it's believable for these characters to do this. But do you think there's like a level of like paternalism that's happening here? And kind of like, you know, even the whole time in this movie, Schwartzy's treating her as like, you know, when he hits her, he's upset that she's a woman. And like, it's like this thing of like, oh no, I'm so virtuous. I can't, you know, hurt this woman. You know what I mean? Like, it's like he's almost taking away her agency.
Yeah, this movie is one that I think really defies an easy reading. It defies the, you know, women being associated with nature, women being associated with pacifism, and being associated with violence and civilization. Like there are these binaries that are often in play in this type of movie, and it is paternalistic that he makes the choice for her, but the way that the movie destabilizes so many things like race and culture and, you know, action and activity, and I think it resists a simple like checkbox yes no, right? Because he is saving her life, and at the same time, like, she was fully willing to lay it on the line.
Yeah, I agree completely.
There's like a meeting of minds, because she is also a person who's set up as like, she knows the terrain of this. Schwartzy knows that she can get to where the border is because she knows where like her surroundings. She's also tried to escape several times, but like 8 other dudes are like stopping her, you know?
I love how Schwartzy immediately in this moment decides, I'm no longer doing what I was supposed to be doing, getting to the chopper. I'm staying behind to lure this beast away from this person to save them. And he runs away, and as Predator's vision is getting closer to him, he slips down a mudslide, or like, oh my God, as a kid, just loved so much sliding down and he plays that line, oh shit, for comedy in such a great way that's, you know, like, you're getting so much tension in this sci-fi action movie, and just that little pepper of, you know,
humor
is just perfect.
Yeah.
You don't need any more.
It alleviates at least some tension because it's so tense. It becomes because like all the people that you come to like are just like fully murdered.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this movie is really good at doling out levity where it's needed and lightening the tone where it's necessary. And what's really, I think, is crucial about the campy oh shit is that that's the pivot point when this movie stops being a slasher movie again. And it's like a little palate cleanser after watching all these dudes get wasted.
Guys, when he falls for so long, and I was so excited to talk to you guys about this specific part because it looks like somebody was videotaped with an iPhone and zoomed in maximum.
Oh yeah,
with an iPhone and then cropped it to be widescreen.
Can I tell you something?
Crazy.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
That's the equivalent of what you just said is what probably happened. They probably took an image of a 35 millimeter still and like cropped into it. Basically, the pan and scanned that moment and allowed it to happen. You're talking about when he's falling into the water. And it's the
stunt actor and something comes out of his mouth. Did you guys notice this?
I notice
it every time. Oh. Some steam or something pops out of his mouth as he's falling. It just goes like and like waves over his face.
Weird. No.
That's wild.
I love everything about this scene. The graininess, the terrible quality. Mm-hmm. It's just like, whoa, what an oversight. But they're like, we can't not use this footage. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So they just use this grainy, shitty footage.
Yeah, dude.
And yeah, there's like a lot of this sort of interesting sort of approach to coverage, because you've got the point of view shot of him as he's coming over, and you've got the really grainy one, and then you got the less grainy one.
And then he gets to the mud and like almost takes a break because he's like, fuck, I've like gone through this horrendous thing, and I'm just, all of my energy has been used in my fight or flight moments, and I'm in the mud now. And then we see Schwartzy in the shot in the mud, and then behind him, invisibly, the predator
Water
falls
splashes.
into the like pool of water, and it splashes, and it's so cool.
And we see the water moving by itself, and then we see the like tendrily dreadlocky things floating before we see the full like height of the predator like revealed.
I love the dreadlocks. It's such a sweet touch.
Well, this is what I meant by the sort of the binaries in this movie are really destabilized, right? Because you have the predator creature is a creature that jumps from tree to tree and it belongs in nature and is also a creature of technology. And it's got this racial coding of the Rastafarian like image, but then it's also in this like skin tight like what is that even called? Like,
it's dressed like Bennett.
Oh God, what if this is just Space Bennett? But yeah, so he's in like fishnets that are like ripped, and he's got claws that are like sort of connote like sort of like a manicure, you know, in a certain way.
Yeah, that's true.
And there's just so many layers to it. And then there's like the fact of the creature design, which we see in a little bit, which I'll hold off on for now because it's a moment.
Can we talk about how great the mud camouflage for Schwartzy is?
I love the mud.
And because he like, it's so weird, the choice to like have him exasperatedly land in mud face first and just be so tired from running from this creature that he gets his whole face covered in mud, which pays off because as he climbs up in under that other uprooted tree, which was amazing, he braces himself for death, and Predator comes and doesn't see him, and he touches the mud and goes, he couldn't see me. After Predator shoulder shoots a possum. Love everything about this scene.
Shoulder shooting things that are moving too. Mm-hmm. So not only is his vision based on heat, but it's based on movement as well.
I love that touch.
And it's great because again, it's despite the line being kind of cornball, like of saying like he couldn't see me. I like it because it's like Schwartzy saying it, and it's nice hearing him say it. But at the same time, most of it is done in visuals, and you don't even need the line.
You don't need the line,
right?
But it's so endearing that he does say it because I don't know, the accent, everything services that moment for me.
Totally.
And I also really like that there's this like this very tactile quality to like being in the mud, and it lowers your temperature reading, right? Like it literally cools you down.
There's a how did you guess about
How did you guess?
Okay. Schwartzy, when filming this movie, wore like modeling clay. That's what that was. And the cold modeling clay in the freezing temperatures that they were filming this in, like lowered his body temperature significantly, and they couldn't warm him up because the heating lamps would dry the clay. So he was shivering the whole time, and to warm himself up, he drank like this weird schnapps, but it ended up just getting him drunk.
Warm himself up. The myth of like drinking warming you is amazing.
It's great, and it works. Because as you get drunk, you stop caring. It's great.
It's true, guys. Schwartzy gets not one booby trap preparation scene in this movie, but 2 booby trap preparation scenes in this movie, and it's so gratifying.
It's a ridiculously involved montage. There's so many things.
There's the dagger dam. There's the second tree, which is an even bigger tree than the first one, that he lifts up by himself. And he like kind of tripwires all of these booby traps, and then also does this really cool thing where he makes a bow and arrow, totally believable for some reason, beside a fire, and then empties out the remaining gunpowder he has from these bullets he has into leaves. that he creates these makeshift bombs out of, which is so fucking cool.
So cool.
And then once he's done all this preparation, he fucking takes a big torch and screams the best Schwartzy scream I've ever heard. The I love it so much.
I love the scream and the torch, and it's just such an amazing, iconic image. And
well, the interesting thing too, like to go off your point earlier, it's like a Tarzan scream, which is like also a reference to like a weird racialized like
colonial narrative.
Totally.
And it's so bizarre, but it's still cool. Like it's not like in this movie it fully makes sense in this like primal way of like man-made fire, and like man is taking back Earth. You know what I mean? It's not just it's like man returning to nature, fighting what is technologically way beyond him.
And this is intercut, interestingly enough, with the beast othering itself by shining these skulls and collecting these trophies. It's really othering this being for us because we're like, hey, that's a human skull, you know? Like you have a visceral reaction to it.
Sure. Yeah, it's at the interstice of all these different types of other, which is really great. And we also see it using its like laser thing to like heat up its Wolverine retractable claws.
I love that. And also it's funny, like in the moment that this was happening, I was like, I wonder if the Predators are just like a bunch of rich dudes going to planets being like, we're going hunting.
That's hilarious. He's like the Eric Trump of his planet.
Yeah, it's like we're dangerous gaming. You want to come? But yeah, it's actually interesting. This is, I guess, a bit of a how did you guess?
How did you guess?
The brothers who wrote the screenplay, I mean, this is their original concept. And they came up with the idea for the society, for the predator culture of being this culture of hunters before any of the Dutch, any of the terrestrial earthbound stuff.
Cool.
And in like amazing screenwriter, like an amazing show of instinct and restraint, they leave so much of that stuff out and like infer it and imply it and then focus on what makes the best screen story.
Well, it's kind of like the alien space jockey subplot, you know? It's so little, but it gives you so much backstory you can build worlds off of, right?
Mm-hmm.
Worlds we don't need, like Prometheus.
I mean, you're right there. I don't have anything to say to that.
We also kind of glossed over, this was, I think, pre-Waterfall, or maybe not, the Predator pulling out Billy's spine and skull.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I totally glossed over that. That was my bad.
Which is amazing and horrifying and brutal. And then, like, again, it's this weird mixture of, like, the natural and the supernatural and the scientific, that he has this, like, weird spray he pulls out to, like, spray on the skull.
Yeah, this like it's like it got a body horror element too, and like whereas the movie doesn't, it's almost genreless. Like it falls into action movie, but it's like somewhat sci-fi, somewhat body horror, somewhat action, somewhat straight up horror, somewhat thriller. Like it's just like a beautiful blend.
Totally mix and match.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that that's something that I think makes it incredibly memorable, referring back to this scene and being at the interstice of all these different genres, is like we now know his methodology and like what's motivating him really, really well without ever really being told. And the way that it's like we're just like a challenge or a game or a diversion, and then we're just meat. And like the way that like the bodies are like disdained or like defaced or whatever, it's just like it's completely without a second thought. And that's kind of, I think, what makes the Predator really like memorable and scary movie monster.
Yeah, it's existentially terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
And those things are missing from all the other movies. Like we see the Predator all the time in the other movies. There's no mystery to it anymore. And there can be. I think that there could be another good Predator movie.
Guys, Predator comes up behind Schwartzy and he can't see him because Schwartzy's camouflaged with the mud. And then Schwartzy swings to another tree.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's vines. That's another youthful thing that we thought would be much more common in our adult lives.
And would make adult life so much more fun. But also the face he makes when he grabs onto the other tree communicates so much fear because there's no one else to talk to anymore.
Yeah.
There's no lines to deliver. There's no one-liners to deliver.
That's what makes Schwartzy so expressive. Like, he's able to do this kind of body acting and a lot with no dialogue.
Yeah.
Because he is very physical.
Wide eyes.
And with the mud all over him, and it's just, the image just like pops.
Predator has his camo damaged because Schwartzy shoots an explosive arrow in front of him. I love this so much because he starts shooting indiscriminately all over the place because he's panicking with his shoulder laser.
In a reference to the previous scene when they were all shooting at him at the same time. When they were shooting indiscriminately, it cuts to him, to all of them in wide, and there's only wide shots of Predator in this scene, just like shooting fucking randomly, having the same thought process as them, panicking, being like, well, if I just shoot everything, I might hit something, you know?
Absolutely. And it looks amazing the way that the sparks from the blasts go off, and it's like fireworks. It's like actually gorgeous, and the way that you see the light like all the way through the jungle is fantastic. Like, it's not just a localized phenomenon, it's like you can see it in the sky.
Yeah.
And Schwartzy throws a rock to like make Predator reveal where he is, and then he shoots him with this like spear that he's put gunpowder on, and it explodes. Oh my god, he gets in so many great shots here, and you're just like, yes, as an audience member, you're like so on board with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's really like putting him on the defensive, which is really empowering after you just saw him like kill every character that you like.
But sadly, this is followed with Schwartzy falling into water and having the mud wash off. And his biggest advantage of not being able to be seen is gone now. And he gets out of the water and puts his head near sort of a floating log. And then Predator comes up behind him and iconically stabs down with the Wolverine claws, trapping him. And he wants to fight.
This is cool because it seems like the implication, again, all through visuals, the implication is I've thinned out the herd and this is the real fight.
So he's always in control, but he's putting himself in that position because so far he's got superior weapons.
He takes off his shoulder gun and takes his fucking mask off, revealing his
vagina.
Yeah.
Is that?
I was gonna say pussy face, but yeah.
Okay, pussy face. It's your move.
Pussy face is in part 2.
What I should have said is vulva, really, but notoriously, they had a really hard time designing the monster for Predator, the Predator himself, and there was a weird bug suit, and like they
and Jean-Claude Van Damme played him.
No, don't do the how did you guess? Come on, I was saving that one for the end.
How did you guess?
They had to shoot so much of the movie without the Predator, and then they finally like had to completely redesign it. And Stan Winston, who is legendary like creature designer and stuff,
Terminator 2.
Apparently, he was on a flight while he was working on the revised Predator design next to, I believe it was James Cameron.
Wow.
Who recommended something with mandibles.
His mandibles.
That's really fucking cool.
Something with a pussy face.
I love the mandibles.
His mandibles.
It's so cool.
It's so bizarre. It hadn't been in any of the publicity or the trailers or anything like that, which is kind of hard to imagine today. That there'd be this incredibly iconic thing that just like was left out, but of the marketing materials and stuff. But it's a great face.
It made it such a reveal too, because you're like, whoa, where did that come from?
Can I just say that the face that you make, that's the Harry and the Henderson's face, is played by fucking
Kevin Peter Hall.
Yeah,
he is Harry.
He's Harry Oh my God.
Harry and the Hendersons. I knew you'd love that. Doing the face.
It's very good.
It looks like him.
Do you like my Harry and the Hendersons face?
Yes, I do. Yeah,
I make a really good Harry and the
fan.
Hendersons face. If you ever see me, ask me to do it.
Like, follow, subscribe. So we have fan culture is really funny, and like I was looking something up before recording, and I went to the like Predator wiki, and there's a name for the shoulder gun, and it's the plasma caster, which is
that's so cool.
I like that.
I love it so much.
The word plasma is very 80s, 90s.
I need plasma.
I need more plasma.
Yes, of course, referencing Morbius in the Fox Kids animated Spider-Man show.
Oh yeah, Jared Leto is Morbius.
Oh God, no Jared Leto on this show.
No Jared Leto on any show.
I'm pulling rank. My rank as only guest.
How did you guess?
We've got some body shots. We got some dudes laying into each other with big meaty fists. A lot of this is in Predator vision,
Which was such a good touch.
and it's
I loved
also
it so
the
much.
maskless Predator vision, which is just red.
Leela was like at first when this scene was happening and they're like punching each other, Leela was like, oh God, what is happening? But then as it started kicking in the like Predator vision, she was like, whoa, dude, like I've never seen this. Like, I mean, Leela doesn't watch that many action movies, but like she's right. Like
She's never seen that done, yeah.
Shit like this doesn't happen in movies where like basically you're blind from the perspective of the character,
Yeah.
and you're watching.
That's very alienating.
Yeah.
For sure. And
you have all the audio through this very high-pitched like filter or whatever.
And Schwartzy's panting is like so much more vulnerable because it's higher pitched.
Yeah.
Did you notice that?
Yeah.
He sounds like a kid or something.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm sorry, but Schwartzy tries to lead a Predator to the booby traps that he set up. It's so good because it's so like, yeah, come on. Like, you're like, it's an alien. It's not going to know what I want to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Predator realizes what Schwartzy's doing. And he kind of like looks up, like puppet face looks up at the like daggers.
Spiky.
And he comes around the side, and then Schwartzy kicks the fuck out of this like tripwire and smashes Predator with a huge log.
Yeah, the weight that was supposed to like send the dagger into Predator, he uses that weight to
The
crush
counterbalance.
the counterbalance to crush the Predator, which is sick. Here's what I wanted to point out. I know you're an avid Marx guy, and we're both Marx people too. This is an interesting
We go shoot guns all the time. We're marksmen.
marksman. But here's an interesting thing that I thought of as I was watching the movie. I know this is like a tangential thing, and I don't want to bog it down too much. But it's like we all know what historical materialism is. It's interesting to think about what other planetary thing would have to be historically materialist for a culture to evolve. Like the notion of I need a mask to see clearly.
Interesting.
You know what I mean? I need a specific kind of spaceship. I'm dexterous in the same way an ape is.
So do you think that capitalism would evolve there the same way because of needs having to be met?
Well, like, I mean, that's the weird thing is that like they evolve clearly in a similar way that we do. Right?
Right, because they're humanoid.
Yeah, but their technology is so much more ahead, but they still retained this primal thing of like, no, hunting. I'm going hunting. Sorry, that was a reference to what's his name? John Travolta in Being Serbian in a movie. I just
okay, nice.
But like that was like a really interesting thing to be, because like the redness.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like they see things based on movement, like a lot of lizards do.
I love where you're going with this, because on the evolutionary point that you're making, Schwartzy grabs this huge rock in this, primal sort of urge to smash this creature, to smash its face, and then sees its face. And because it has a face and it's coughing up blood and it's really vulnerable, he has this vulnerable moment with it where he's like,
he has a human moment.
I'm not going to kill you. What the hell are you? And it repeats, what the hell are you to him in this mutual misunderstanding. So poignant.
At the same time, it's a mutual misunderstanding, but it's at the same time a total mutual understanding.
Totally.
Because they've matched up together in this really intense way.
And like one has beaten the other, which is to my next point. Predator, because he's not killed, starts this countdown. Now, I had a very visceral reaction to this watching of the movie and this particular point. I don't know that a noble hunter race of people, aliens, would necessarily take the bullshit sore loser move of killing themselves.
The spiteful move.
I disagree.
Okay, let me hear why.
Because I think it's called seppuku. when a samurai loses a battle, he kills himself.
Well, it's a ritual suicide that it involves disemboweling. But what I think is really different about this is that it's a bomb.
And it's like a fucking nuclear bomb.
It's a 90s electricity traveling through space bomb.
It's Terminator Lightning. It was blue Terminator Lightning.
Here's the cool thing about that, though. It also additionally is spiteful by the fact that he's laughing. And he's laughing in fucking Billy's voice.
Was so cool because he understood the impulse to laugh and he did it it was almost as if he was interpreting the action of the human, recording the voice, and then performing it.
Spitefully. But I will say, we already know the spitefulness of the Predator because it's not like he's coming to a planet without massive weapons already. They're not primitive weapons.
And the intent to like earn trophies.
Yeah, to earn trophies. So we already know that they are like douchey Eric Drums, you know what I mean? Like going out from planet to planet, killing things for sport, for like there's the nobility is almost put on by us by the fact that they are the Predators are somewhat racialized in a way that's like they're as much a noble savage as Billy was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's really quite intense. I love the anytime anyone coughs up blood in a movie, it's just the clock is just ticking, and I love the cough of like the green goo of impending death, and the spiteful button press and the laughter. But I don't think it's Billy's voice.
Oh, you think it's him?
I have heard
the voice actor
that this is how did you guess?
How did you guess?
There is a credit in the credits. This is how I found out, not by browsing through IMDb, but like. Actually, in the credits, there's a credit for vocalizations to an actor named Peter Cullen, who has been the voice of Optimus Prime since the 80s.
I was going to say, yes.
And do you know how did you guess?
How did you guess?
That he actually didn't want to take this job? I thought this is where you were going with this. He didn't want to take this job because he had hurt his larynx performing vocally in the movie King Kong in 1974. But when he saw the Predator mask, he agreed to do it. Isn't that an amazing? How did you guess?
It's very, very good.
Can I also just like on a sad note, but also like fuck, it sucks that we don't have like the Predator anymore. But Kevin Peter Holt died of AIDS.
Died in 1992, I think.
35, dude.
Can I call out another brother who died of AIDS in the movie Raw Deal? We didn't get to it because it was such a bad movie, but the guy who played Alejandro Sosa in Scarface and was Roca in Raw Deal, he died of AIDS as well. He was a gay man.
That sucks.
Mm-hmm. It really sucks that Ronald Reagan killed a bunch of gay people.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, this talk is 2 hours and 20 minutes, so I feel like we should probably get to wrapping up, and we're pretty close.
We are close. Yeah, we're almost in end credit land, but before we get there, we have like the chopper reacting to the giant fucking bomb going off.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. And the transitions between the scenes where like the bombs are exploding and smoke is happening, and then it cuts to like in the helicopter while smoke is happening. And such a great transition.
Anna is not strapped down at all. She's just lying on the ground of the helicopter. I thought that was so weird.
Mm-hmm. And a really great little cameo from one of the helicopter pilots.
Is actually what's his name?
Kevin Peter Hall.
Yeah, Kevin
the man
Peter
in the
Hall.
Predator suit.
That's awesome. I didn't know that. That's amazing. That's a great How Did You Guess?
How did you guess?
Yeah, so we also have Major General Homer, which is his name, which is very funny, and
That's
he's
amazing.
there, and they go back for Dutch,
and they pick him up, and there's the single horn playing in the background.
Yeah,
it's like victorious but sad. And
him looking epic in this nuclear destroyed.
Did you guys get the nice touch that because the bomb leveled the area, the helicopter could land?
That didn't even occur to me. That's great.
That's super awesome.
That's really good.
He also looks so amazing.
Yeah, this is a super earned beefcake shot.
Yeah.
Shut up.
The beefcake shot of heroic triumph.
Totally. Because none of them really, granted, everybody does get sort of hero-y shots in the movie, and they do get beefy shots, but it's never set up in like a heroic way, like every fucking scene that John Krasinski gives himself in A Quiet Place. Every fucking scene.
Guys, he's so traumatized and distant. I like his like far off look.
Vacant.
And then it's shot like under his chin, and it's this weird upward angle.
And he's so filthy, like he's dirty.
He's also still defeated. Like at
So
the end of
defeated.
the movie, he's still
His
defeated.
whole crew died. His entire
His
like
family.
army family. Yeah.
My family.
I want to introduce you to my family.
And then you have the helicopter kind of clearing the tree line, and it's going through the sky, and the return of the main theme again.
So
But
good.
then we get this random like 80s like Full House looking outro where like every person gets a title card, which, you know what? I love it because every person is important in the movie.
This is what I wanted to talk to you guys about. If ever there was a doubt in anyone's mind that this is an ensemble movie, the end gets rid of that because it shows everyone, names them as the character, and gives the actor's name, gives props to everyone in an amazing way, but still acknowledging that Schwartzy in the freeze frame at the end is the main guy.
So
Such a wicked touch. Although I'm bummed that they didn't add Anna into the mix of the title cards.
I think
She is.
Oh, is she? Oh, okay.
Yeah, she has a really great. I can't. This doesn't translate to pod, but like she like lowers her head, raises her head up.
Oh,
and it's a really great shot, and she's like perfectly centered in frame.
Is she wearing a hat?
I don't remember, but she looks really like happy and chill.
Yeah, it's funny because so many of the character Poncho turns and smiles. Like people just like look at like somebody was like filming them, and it's like, hey, Shane Black, turn your head.
Shane Black's is my favorite because he's just so goofy.
He's reading his comic book, and Dylan's showing off his 2 arms.
Two arms. You know what's cool about the? I think it's that the comic that he's reading, Sergeant Rock.
Yeah,
I think he was supposed to adapt that into a movie.
Yeah, that was
With The
something
Rock.
that was in production for a very long time, and never got made. Classic DC World War II comic, Sergeant Rock, created by Joe Kubert, one of the fathers of heroic cartooning.
I love that.
What a ride this movie was, guys.
It's an amazing ride, and I love this sort of like curtain call. Everyone gets a bow. Like it's a little bit theater world in the sense of like they were just actors. It's just a movie. It's a little bit sitcom, and like everyone kind of like cheeses their dopey grin at the camera. And it's also, again, it's this like lightning touch thing, right? It's kind of like they did the same thing in Buckaroo Banzai.
Mm-hmm.
One of the Wes Anderson movies, I think it was Life Aquatic. They had the same thing where like dead characters are just there in the credits.
Yeah.
And I really like that a lot.
Guys, I just want to end this off with some how did you guesses.
Okay.
Van Damme, you mentioned it, but Van Damme, it was supposed to be Predator.
How did you guess?
And the idea was that Predator would be super agile and have wicked moves. They wanted him to be martial artsy, which I'm so glad they didn't go with, because you have this instead large looming body that's kind of heavy and a little bit clunky and slow, but so powerful.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's also the Jaws effect of like not showing the monster too much.
Right.
And then revealing the monster and it having like the potency and the
it having
element.
the best pussy face.
Okay, pussy face.
Yeah.
And if you had, a monster whose sick moves you wanted to show off, you wouldn't have that same, mystique.
And also, Van Damme was upset that he wouldn't be like his face wouldn't be in the movie.
You know what?
Can you imagine though? He's like Predator, but he's got human face.
Well, I mean, Kevin Peter Hall's face did get into the movie, so
That's
you
true.
know, you
That's
never
true.
know.
He could have been a helicopter pilot.
Yeah, that would have been a great little cameo. I have a relevant how did you guess about the production of this movie.
How did you guess?
Oh, please.
That is germane to Malenko's livelihood, or one of them.
Oh, a locations one.
There are some locations Michigos in this movie, and one of them is that for like possible shady like tax evasion reasons or like organized crime reasons or something, they ended up doing most of the shooting in Puerto Vallarta, which is like not really a jungle. And furthermore, when they were shooting there, it was the dry season, and like they didn't know it was going to be the dry season. They didn't like think to follow up on whoever did like location stuff. So when they got there, like the entire like forest was like brown, like all the leaves were dead. It looked like shit. So they were just like dumping water on it like 24/7, and pretty much every time you see like layers of foliage, there's like so many fake trees and fake like leaves. And like leaves removed from one tree to be put here to fill out the frame.
I totally noticed that. I totally know that makes so much sense to me, because I always thought that this was shot in a studio because it looks so weird the way the foliage is distributed.
Yeah, and John Materin was probably like, Malenko to locations. I need more trees.
Guys. Absolutely. And then the final act and the final showdown, that's shot somewhere completely different, and it looks great.
And it was freezing, and Schwartzy was so cold.
And I think that was in Palenque. I don't know where that is though, but yeah.
Also, they all got poisoned from the water and had traveler's diarrhea. That's another how did you guess? Except for Schwartzy and the director. They didn't. But guys, how many fucking Schwartzys did you give this movie? I mean, may I go first?
Please.
Go for it.
Because it's such an ensemble cast, and I don't want to disrespect anyone else in this movie, I'm giving this 8.5 Schwartzys because he does a lot of work. He's incredible and stands out, but he has an incredible support system, an amazing support system. 8.5 Schwartzys.
Can I? I'm gonna and take it seriously today. I'm gonna rock 9.5. And the reason I'm giving him that extra point is actually because of the fact that he does all the Schwartzy things that he needs to do, plus the grace to give everyone else.
Oh, okay. Touche, man.
Yeah.
Great reasoning. I'm not going to change my score.
Touche, what? Vites
Goya. Yeah, I completely agree. And Alex took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say that it's that exact grace and like charity and generosity that like everybody else gets, good lines and all that stuff, and like he still does all the Schwartzy stuff, but it's a more textured end product than any other Schwartzy movie.
How many Schwartzys would you give it?
I'm gonna give it like movie 10, Schwartzy's 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, this is your favorite Schwartzy movie.
I think it is, you know, in terms of, you know, fulfilling every sort of like criterion that I might have.
This movie gets, for me, out of a star rating, it gets a 9.5.
Yeah,
it's an incredible movie.
I give it a 9.5 as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I loved it so much.
And it's got just so many things going on that show a real attention to detail and a real like spirit of collaboration. And the more I hear about like stuff that went on behind the scenes of this movie, it's like, yeah, like a lot of stuff in the production was fucked up or crooked or like difficult, but like so many choices were being made like out of love and creativity and stuff like the Bill Duke shaving scene where he breaks the Bic. That was an idea they had on set that day, and they like drilled a hole in a Bic razor and like ran a tube of blood through it and like did all this stuff because it was like, that would just be a great visual.
How did you guess?
I love knowing that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And there's just like so much stuff like that where it's not content to be less. It's not content to be something that's easy.
And it's so obvious the entire time in this movie that everyone's having a really good time. And I think that's super admirable and makes what could otherwise have been a real dud of a movie
become instead a sexual Tyrannosaurus.
That's a perfect way to end it.
Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of Schwartzy the Podcast. Next episode, we have... Dun, 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 dun. Which was it again? Oh my God. What the fuck is next?
I think is it Red Heat?
No. Yeah. No.
Yeah. No.
You got to leave all this in.
Oh yeah.
Leave
totally.
all of it in?
All of it. All the.
Oh my God, it was open.
awkwardness.
No, dude, it's fucking Running Man.
Oh,
Next on Schwartzy, the podcast, Running Man.
Oh my God.
You want to join us for Running Man, dude?
I don't know. It's a good movie. It's got some aficionado. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yaphet Kotto finally not getting his nipples pinched.
Finally?
Yeah, remember in Alien?
Yeah, I know, but it's not like it's been happening to him every day.
Oh man, you don't know.
Thank you guys so much for listening. Bye. Oh, you have the volume, Alex.
Oh, you have to.
I love you, Lee.
I love you guys. Thanks for having me. I hope that turns into a thing you can edit into a good show.
I hope so too.
Yeah.